Day 7 of the Feast of Debris Shelters. And again, like day 1, I was back on a roof. This time I had a tent, for which I was going to be very grateful because there was some rain. And I was trying to disguise the tent as a rooftop garden. Have a look.
Well, good morning. What a beautiful night's sleep it was. Just as well, we were in our tent because we went through all 4 seasons during the night, including the rainy season. There was beautiful thunder and lightning lighting up the sky, but then it cleared up in the middle of the night and I saw satellites, I saw a shooting star. I was started out under the constellation of Scorpio and ended up under Orion. So altogether a beautiful seventh night of the Feast of Debris Shelters.
Well, that's the 7-day Feast of Debris Shelters with 7 different shelters. We started on a full moon and we ended when the moon was half its size again. With every stealth camp you learn something. So let's start with the last one, on the roof in a tent. You know, there's no beating a tent when it is rainy and windy, because I found that the plastic shelters, when the wind blows, that just makes that crinkling sound, is just terrible. And it rained on that 7th night, so it was wonderful to be in a tent and on a roof with your weight on an air mattress that keeps the tent from blowing away. So you can't beat a tent under certain circumstances. Then it was so nice having Dylan for company, and I have to thank all of you who have watched and liked. It's just made all the difference. Then there was night 6 sleeping under a beach umbrella in a single bush. I like that. I was close to the road. The cars were riding past, but it was pitch black. There was no chance of them seeing me. And putting the umbrella up, erecting it only took a few seconds, so it was great. And then just throw down a top. So great idea for a stealth camp and fantastic. Also, I'd like to try that on a beach. Then night 5 was sleeping in an A-frame DPC shelter. That shelter is so stable, it's so waterproof. I love my Dakota Firehole. I love cooking on it. And if the wind is blowing away from the shelter on a cold night, you could just sit and look at the fire and burn logs all night. Wonderful shelter. The only thing is if it's blowing, it makes it plastic makes a horrible crackling sound, which might keep you awake. So that's the only drawback of using DPC plastic. Night 4 was spent in a treehouse where I had a lovely barbecue. I was so impressed with making pizza on a braai or a barbecue grid, just enclosing it with silver foil, and then at the last moment putting on the cheese. I love sleeping in a tree house because you feel so safe, secure from all the bugs and snakes and things, and it was just lovely. Then day 3, I cleared this grove of thorns. Oh, I don't like thorns, but I made such a lovely clearing and I had barbecued kebabs there, and that was I just love the idea of sleeping in a grove surrounded by trees, and it's like a living stealth shelter. You're hidden. You could come back in a month time, and it stays green. It doesn't go brown like a normal stealth shelter. So it's just you could stay there forever virtually. Night number 2, I really enjoyed. It was a shelter made out of bent branches, sort of like an A-frame with clear plastic and covered with palm leaves, and a springy bed of slats that cut down all these trees. A really nice shelter, very waterproof. Only slight problem when the wind blows, again, that rattling of the plastic. Night 1 was under the full moon on a roof. We built what looked like we were making a rooftop garden, and then we were going to sleep in the stealth of those trees. We cut down a whole lot of branches and put them in pots to make it look like we were gardening on the roof. I think there's such potential in rooftops. There must be many apartments and buildings that you can get access to. They look down at perhaps on other high-rise buildings, but if you make yourself a debris shelter there, yeah, you can hang out on top of a building. The Feast of Debris Shelters is also known as the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Tabernacles, spoken about in Leviticus 23, also Nehemiah 8, verse 15, where people go, cut branches, go make themselves dwellings, and then for 7 days hang out with the Lord and rejoice with Him and thank Him for everything He's done for them throughout the year. And it also represents a time when they walked with God coming out of Egypt, and a time when people will walk with God at the beginning of the millennium, and there will be no buildings, there will just be debris shelters left. And so it will be commemorated throughout the millennium as a memorial of the time when there was nothing to start off with. Now, also quite interesting, there's so much symbolism, but the branches from the first night debris shelter on the roof by the 7th day are just looking so bedraggled and so dry and dried out. I guess like the fig tree that Christ cursed. But anyway, I think there's a symbolism there that we need to stay attached to the tree as branches. Otherwise, basically we're not self-sufficient. We're not independent. We have no sap. of ourselves. So it was just a lovely symbolism of hanging out with the Lord. There's so much time, there's nature, there's the stars, and it's a holy convocation. It's lovely to hang out with people, but it's especially what makes it holy is hanging out with the Lord and being away from technology, having time to think about, yeah, when you're close to nature and you've got time, it's just, I think, a very neglected thing is giving God your time.